Show.
This episode of the Gene and Dave Show is sponsored by Art Spark Texas, sparking the creative in everyone, and AmeriGroup. The following program may contain strong language and brief nudity. But don't get your hopes up. After all, this is public access TV.
I'm Gene.
And I'm Dave.
And we're the
Gene and Dave Show.
Today we have with us Sharon Cohan, who started the Vax Together Austin program to help facilitate getting vaccinations to people in need, particularly people with special needs. Sharon, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and, more importantly, how you started and why you started Vax Together Austin?
Sure. So, hi. Thanks for having me. My name is Sharon Cohan. I went to UT Austin back in the dinosaur days, and I have a master's in counseling from St. Edward's University. And I have a little bit of experience in human resources, corporate, and some nonprofit experience. But honestly, I mostly stayed home with my 3 children until the pandemic. And we were one of those locked down families. My oldest son has Crohn's disease, and we were worried about him being immune compromised. He's on a biologic. And so I was mostly home and feeling helpless and powerless, like so many of us, and found that something safe I could do at home was helping people get vaccine appointments once the vaccine was available. So I started doing that. In the beginning, it was mostly helping seniors, and realizing that there were populations like seniors who had a really hard time accessing technology and making those hard to get appointments. And another woman and I met through Nextdoor, and she was helping people too. And she was better at technology than I. And she created a Google form, a magical thing that populated a spreadsheet of people that we could help. And one of the first people who actually found our Google form was someone who wrote on the form, "I'm not actually a senior, but I'm blind. Do you think you could help me?" And so I called her and I helped her find an appointment. And she said, "Is it okay if I ask some friends?" And next thing I knew, I had about 12 visually impaired and fully blind individuals asking for help to get appointments. And about halfway through that list, I started asking more questions. What is it like for you? Why is it hard? It wasn't just that they needed an appointment, it was they needed a ride to the appointment, or that appointment needed to be on public transportation. And I knew very little about access in Austin. And I started learning very quickly how difficult it is to get from point A to point B, to access technology, to access appointments, to get resources in general. And I think realized the pandemic really highlighted issues that had already been there all along. They were just now kind of magnified. And so I, in asking questions, found out that the majority of individuals coming to us for help at this point worked at Austin Lighthouse for the Blind. And I reached out to their human resources director and offered to help find a vaccine clinic that could come to them, rather than trying to help hundreds of people individually who were visually impaired. And that turned into our finding Walgreens and partnering to bring the vaccine into communities, especially communities that needed us. We did that very first clinic was a 300 dose Pfizer clinic for the Lighthouse community. And in meeting the amazing individuals that work at Lighthouse and run Lighthouse, realized that this need was greater than just this one community. So we had a grant opportunity, and we got that initial United Way grant to start our nonprofit. and to do this work. And over the past, I guess about 9 months now, we have grown into a fully funded, staffed organization. We're still volunteer powered, but and we come into communities, to schools, to organizations that need us, and just try to make the vaccine more accessible and easier for people to get access to the research that they need.
9 months, that is incredible.
Yeah,
Congratulations, way to go.
Thanks.
You're not only providing a great service here in Austin, but you're in several other counties as well, aren't you?
We've been working in Williamson County, in Hayes County. I know the Walgreens team we work with, they go into Bastrop as well. Most of our work, most of the clinics that we've had have either been in Hayes, Williamson, or Travis for the most part. But we've helped people. We get phone calls sometimes from people even in other states who have just heard about what we do because they were in town, or I've had people come in from other countries because the access that other countries have to the vaccine is not as good as ours. And so there are folks who will fly from other countries to come get vaccinated here. And one of the things that's important to us is that it's easy to get to the vaccines. So we don't require ID or insurance. You don't have to be documented. And we are learning about how we can make things easier. So we're trying to now ask specifically if anyone needs special accommodations and what can we do to help. So anything from bringing therapy dogs to our clinics to interpreters, whatever it takes.
That is just amazing. Now, before we go along too far, let's tell the folks the name of your website. It's vaxtogether.austin.org. Did I get that right?
Correct.
So now when people go to your website, they could find out all kinds of things. You've got other resources listed on your website. The one thing that impressed me is you've got a great list of grant funders and partners, which shows that you have really been out in the community and talking with so many businesses, because I'm willing to bet that for everyone that said yes to you, there were maybe a half dozen, maybe 10 that said no. So to have all these people partner with you, I think is a great accomplishment.
Now, I have to be honest, and I'm probably honest to a fault. I think that there are times when you put good energy out into the universe and do good things kind of magically drop to you, because I've had very few no's, actually. In fact, mostly we've had how can we help, and sometimes just pure magic. Like we got an email a few months ago from Riza Foundation offering us $10,000 of support, and I'd literally never met anyone that I know of from that foundation. They had just heard about our work. AmeriGroup is another example where we have been using a texting platform. There's an organization called Open Progress that I think they normally do political things, but they got grant funding to help with the vaccination effort, and they reached out to us, and they have helped us bring, they've probably contacted 50,000 people in the course of helping us text and reach people to come to vaccine events. And Roger from AmeriGroup actually got a text message from Open Progress. That's how he found out about us. He was texted about one of our vaccine clinics, and he'd never heard of Vax Together Austin, but once he heard about us, he contacted me. And AmeriGroup has been amazing. They helped us purchase our iPads, our technology, and then they're also generously sponsoring the therapy dogs, the teams that we've been bringing in from the Dog Alliance. And again, it was just really one of those things where so far, anytime we have needed something, it has just magically dropped in our lap. We've met the most amazing people, the most generous people. And I think there's probably a lot of no. And in this case, it's been almost all yes and.
Well, Sharon, I think you are being a bit modest here, though. I'm looking at your website thinking, this has been an incredible amount of work.
Yes, to that,
Now,
it has been.
now let's say someone with a disability needs a vaccine. What they go, where do they go? They start with your webpage?
Ideally, if they're able to navigate our website, then we could look at the list of clinics that we have available and choose one, but we will also help individually. We're very familiar with the websites for all the other major pharmacies as well. So not just Walgreens, but HEB, CVS, Randall's, Martin Wellness. We can help make a phone call to Austin Regional Clinic or go on the website there. So, we'll do whatever it takes to try to help someone either make one of our existing clinics comfortable or just schedule an appointment at a time that works for that individual and kind of gets them what they need. And it's been interesting because people really have different feelings, we found, about certain places. So some people really trust their doctor's office and that's the place that they want to go. But sometimes it's just difficult getting that appointment or knowing which location has what they need and, having time or access to the technology to do that. Sometimes people feel really comfortable at a pharmacy, but they do not want to go to a doctor's office. They've had terrible experiences and they just do not want to be in a medical facility. Some people feel really comfortable with military and they love the idea of the National Guard. And so if the National Guard is offering vaccines, that's where they want to go. Some people have absolute distrust of the government, no way, no how, and they're not going to do that. So I think that what's kind of beautiful about what we do is just trying to listen to what the person needs and just trying to make that happen.
Again, my hat's off to you. You listen to what people need. And I wish more organizations would do that.
So there's other ways to get a hold of you besides your website. Is there a phone number that we can have?
We do have a Google phone number on that website. We have a support email that comes directly to me and to a few members of my team. I often give out my personal cell phone number and I have no idea who's watching your show. So I might not do that this second, but y'all can definitely have that. And anyone that you would refer to me that needs to reach me is welcome to call me or text me. And there's a Google phone number on our website as well. And I'm embarrassed to admit that I don't know that number by heart. So
okay,
check on that. And what happens with that number too is that there's a couple people that get those messages, and if they need to be translated, they'll translate them and transcribe them and then send us an email with the contact information of the person who was reaching out.
Sharon, can you tell us a little bit about your work with Stephanie Thomas and GAP?
Sure. So I met Stephanie through Roger from Amerigroup. From what I understand, Roger DeLeon and Amerigroup have had a relationship with ADAPT and AHA Impact for quite some time, and he asked us to come and help facilitate vaccine clinics for those organizations. And so that was actually my first time to meet Stephanie and Bob, and what an honor. So I did some research and realized that they're just icons in advocating for people with disabilities and access and education and advocacy and just my kind of people. So I'm excited to continue to develop this connection and relationship and learn from y'all.
Sure, absolutely.
I would love to know more about this show. How long have you been doing this and who sees it and how does this work?
Let's see, Dave, we've been around for what, 11 years?
yeah, closer to 13 actually.
Wow. Yeah, the way we got started, Dave and I were in a performance group together here in Austin with a number of other people with disabilities. And we would write and perform our own material. So, and all the material was based on real life experiences that we've had. Some were comical, some were really serious. But we would have these rehearsals before performances. And one day Dave comes up to me and says, hey, Gene, I got an idea for a skit, and you're the only one crazy enough I know to do this with me. So he told me his idea. I thought it was a great idea. I went home from the rehearsal, started working on the script, and then emailed it to him. And Dave liked it, so I went out and I found a videographer, someone I had who had taught me video editing. He went ahead and filmed us, and I edited it together. We put it out on YouTube, and a number of folks said, hey, that was great. You guys should have your own show. So we went ahead and created our own show. So
it's kind of like you know, how do we do this? We started researching, how do we do it? How do we make a TV show? And, we found public access, and they said that they would air our show. And we determined, well, we've got a show, you got to have a website. And if it's a show about, disability, it's got to be accessible. So, we teamed up with a fine organization here in town called Nobility, who helped us develop. We participated in one of their contests, one of their Air Austin contests, and built a web page where we could house all of our shows after they aired on the public access channel. And it's just snowballed ever since then. We just keep putting out different shows and interviewing people, and we've met some of the most fantastic people. We usually go to South by Southwest every year and find new inventions that people are coming up with that a lot of times they're not even made for people with disabilities, but we put that little spin on it and say, wow, this would really be great. I mean, one time I listened to some headphones that you could talk to go next song, back song. And, it was really great because I didn't have to worry about having to push the little buttons on there to be able to do what I needed to do. I just talked to it.
Wow. So I actually contacted Nobility, and their director came to that first clinic that we did at Lighthouse and spoke about accessibility, and we made that connection with the Lighthouse community. And I don't know if you know this, but Austin Lighthouse has a store. It is mostly has things for the visually impaired, but watches with Braille and all sorts of lighting things. They have e-sight headsets. I wish I had a whole list of everything they have, but I think they're like the best kept secret for store items for people with either partial or full vision impairment. So I don't know if you've ever talked to anyone there, but I'm sure that if I put you in touch, they'd be happy to come on your show and talk about all the resources that they have.
Sounds like we've got another show, Gene.
Okay, yeah, I'll put you in touch. They would love that opportunity too, because I think so many people don't even realize that they're out there. So
yeah, and one more time, let's talk about the website. It's vaxtogetheraustin.org, and you spell it VAX together Austin.org, just like it is on the sign behind you. And if people want to call you, they can reach you at 512-766-2910. If you don't want to talk on the phone, you can definitely email them at support@togetheraustin.org. Also, if you go to their website, you can find them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's a million ways to get a hold of these great people and figure out how to get your next vaccination.
Well done, Dave. A real professional.
Excellent.
So,
I have much to learn.
Anything else you'd like to add that our audience should know about?
I'm very interested in hearing from y'all about how we can help, because as we continue with helping people with vaccines, we're also looking to build out our 501c3, which is Together Austin, our That's our 501c3. Vax Together Austin is our first big project. And we would like to know, our mission is connecting Central Texans to much needed resources. And if there's anything that we can be aware of or do to help your community, to help people with disabilities, to have access to all the things that we take for granted, I'm very interested in hearing from you. So I would love for people to send us an email or give us a call.
Fantastic. Networking works wonders, Gene.
You're right, Dave. And if people want to learn more about the Gene and Dave show, they can go to www.thegeneanddaveshow.com. And we have a number of shows people can access through that webpage. And we're all about sharing the lives and lifestyles of people with disabilities with the general audience out there. You know, we started, or at least I had in mind, thinking that we were going to be providing some entertainment to people with disabilities. Well, it turns out a lot of our audience is just a general population interested in what we're doing. And people will come up to Dave and I, sometimes they'll come up to me, say, aren't you that guy? Aren't you Dave?
Haven't I seen you on TV? Well, I don't know. Have you?
Awesome.
Yeah, so we learn about who our fans are. They're just a John Q. public out there, which was good for us because through our TV program, they learned why we need what we do need in the community. And so they learned how to vote on certain bond issues. And say the disability ordinance we have here in town that requires new homes to have an accessible entrance.
But anyway, Sharon, thank you so much for being on our show. We really appreciate it. What a wealth of knowledge that we've gained. And not only that, I feel that we've got a partnership and working with Together Austin, and we'll make the world a better place together.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. It's really been an honor.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye now.
Take care. Bye.
Mom afford to have help preparing her meals? We know what you're going through. AmeriGroup has a plan for people with Medicaid that helps them get the services they need to live at home. AmeriGroup. Choose us for helping your loved ones live at home. Call 1-800-964-2777.